Hi, sellers. Welcome back to the fourth episode of Sellers Pulse. And today's session is something that basically runs the Amazon game. We will be discussing about acquiring the right funds for your business on Amazon, as well as what are some retargeting strategies that you can take forward for your Q4. I'm Sagarika Mishra, Business Development Manager at SellerApp, as well as your host for today. I am really excited to introduce you to our speakers. We will be joined by Jack from Payability, who is the strategic partnerships manager, and we'll be discussing about scaling your business in an inflationary economy, as well as some great tips and tricks about non-dilutive funding solutions. Joining him would be our Director of Marketing, Priyanka Bohra, and an advertising expert who will be discussing how you can go forward in terms of taking everything and anything from Prime Day in terms of your metrics and making the most of those for the coming year. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment box below, and we will be answering all of these towards the end of the session. All right, it's time to meet both of our speakers. Let's begin with Jack. Hi, Jack. How are you?
Good, Sagarika, and to all the SellerApp supporters, customers, and folks that are looking to scale their Amazon business through a automated platform like SellerApp. These guys are absolutely the best. Sagarika, Priyanka, it's always a pleasure to be with you all, and really looking forward to today's episode.
Likewise, Jack, it has been a pleasure collaborating with Payability and all the amazing solutions that you guys have to offer. I'm so excited for today's session because I know you're covering the entire spectrum from understanding funding, getting it, and knowing what the next steps are going forward for your Q4. So that's pretty exciting for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think just in general, as we look at, what's going on in the world right now, you've got a lot of economic headwinds that are challenging businesses globally, sellers included, as well as, again, we're coming off the heels of one of the busiest days in the calendar year, one of the busiest weeks in Prime Day and Prime Week, which happened about 12 days ago. So again, this is perfect timing, and really looking forward to sharing some insights and thoughts today.
Completely agree on that. It's always better to get a head start for Q4, as we all know it's the most important season for all our sellers out there. I'm pretty sure our second speaker, our Director of Marketing, Priyanka Bohra, has something to say about this. So I'm going to bring her on screen now. Hello, Priyanka. Thanks for being here.
Hello. Hi, Jack. How's it going?
Hey, Priyanka. Great seeing you, as always.
As always, likewise. I think the last time Jack and I met was in New York City at his beautiful office. And then, it's been great partnership since then and even before that, and would love to continue that beyond as well. So it was great having you over at our platform. And looking forward to hearing what you have to say about funding and also preparing those sellers out there on their funding, working capitals, all of that for Q4.
Absolutely. And likewise for you all, we love everything that, SellerApp offers. And, it's my goal to continue figuring out how we can, continue delivering for your customers when they need funding, as well as supporting our customers that need help with things like, product data analysis, and as well as listing optimization and PPC automation.
Absolutely.
Well, I do believe that funding, visibility, sales, and profitability all go hand in hand. In today's session, the best part that I find very interesting and very relevant for our audience would be the fact that US is definitely heading towards a recession that we have been hearing about time and time again in 2020, in 2021, that the stocks have been falling flat, the markets are opening flat. So in light of the Fed meeting that's about to take place today, what is the market sentiment in the US, Jack? Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, for starters, we all know about the rising oil prices that have been, crippling, U.S. consumers for the better part of, 6 months. And, with that has come a rise in prices, and pretty much every major category. Food prices are up over 10%. Hey, Kasim, how are you? We've got household items rising in price as well as, and I think this is the biggest issue that we're seeing right now, is unemployment starting to really come to light in the U.S. I don't know if you all saw this. Unfortunately, 10% of the workforce at Amazon's largest competitor outside of Walmart, Shopify, they cut 10% of their workforce yesterday. A lot of great people in the e-commerce space are being forced to look for new jobs, as well as just folks all over the U.S. And over the last month, the unemployment rate was around 3.6%. It was pretty flat over the last 30 days, but I suspect things are going to start increasing on that front as we head into what looks to be a recession.
Yeah. Well, it's about time, right, Jack? I mean, we've been hearing about that. I think after the financial crisis, always about an 8 to 10 year period where you are due for a recession. We've been talking about it every time. I think the beginning of 2020 market had fallen and everybody was like, oh, recession is coming. But it turned out to be like a phenomenal year where, the NYC and the NASDAQ were like ruling the roost there. But I think 2021, we started to see some slump there. And then now it's carrying forward to 2022, of course. And I think we're finally here. I think the, financial crisis and recession is definitely here to stay. And I hope it recovers soon because I've personally lost a big chunk of my portfolio. So
yeah, I know you're very diligent when it comes to investing, as you spent time as well before SellerApp working at Morgan Stanley, as we discussed. And I think it's certainly an interesting period in time for our sellers, not just in the U.S. but also globally. On the U.S. side of things, and I think this is just relative to consumer sentiment. One of the many suggestions that I have for sellers is, outside of the creativity that we've seen in getting around some of the lingering supply chain issues that we've seen overseas in China, with ports, the largest ports reopening and closing, is possibly looking at doubling down on products that have been performing the best for you, historically, as well as possibly looking into products that are more essential items. I think, these folks that sell, higher end clothing items, jewelry, we're probably going to see a pretty significant decline in their sales, which obviously factors into our funding. But nevertheless, really excited about what is to come for our sellers, to see their creativity to get around some of these hurdles. And I think at the end of the day, as much as it sucks to see folks in the economy struggling, especially in the workforce, this is where great opportunity lies, is when people are forced to come to a roadblock and find their way around it. So I think our sellers have navigated some of the problems beautifully, and looking forward to diving into this further.
Well, I'm excited because the fact that we are discussing about the inflationary economy in today's session and finding solutions for that, it would be a great help to all the sellers. Hi, Kasim. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Ken. Also, thank you for joining us. Kasim, we will be taking the questions towards the end of the session. Please be patient with us. We will definitely get to that question because I'm very, very, very sure Priyanka has something to say about the suggested strategies for you to grow your newly launched product. Before that, we will be deep diving into something more important to run yourself on Amazon, the money. So Jack here will be discussing all about solutions for this and how you can keep yourself afloat in the inflationary economy. So without further ado, Jack, I will hand over the screen to you. Priyanka and I will be in the green room, and let's get started.
Yeah, so again, we've got a lot of exciting times in the e-commerce world ahead of us. We're coming off a Prime Week that saw increased sales from year over year from 2021, increase in yield at over 300 million units sold on Prime Day alone in 2022. So just wanted to quickly go into, Prime Day by the numbers. It, as I mentioned, is a very exciting time for sellers globally, as well as consumers that are trying to buy in bulk or trying to get access to the best deals. And just for everybody here, going to probably keep this to about 15 minutes tops, but thought it would be good to go through some of these numbers. So as I mentioned, over 300 million items were purchased on Prime Day 2022 alone. Again, this was an increase from last year. I think this just goes to show, a couple of things. One is that, Prime Day is a moneymaker for Amazon, but is also a moneymaker for sellers. And, the amount of products coming to and coming through Amazon is only going to continue to grow. As we've seen, there are over 1 million sellers actively coming to Amazon annually since 2015. I think this trend will actually only continue as folks are again going to be looking for a new line of work as maybe they come across unfortunate unemployment, and selling on Amazon is a way to again tap into that entrepreneurial spirit. As for top performing sales verticals, consumer electronics, household essentials, health and wellness, and actually auto products. These were the top items on Prime Day this year. I think a lot of it, again, is, as we're seeing these increases in prices that I mentioned, globally, whether it's fuel, products, etc., it's definitely putting a dent into the consumer's wallet, which as a result, I think there's going to be a large focus on goods purchased on Amazon that are more so in this essential category. An interesting stat as well, Prime Day 2022 was the biggest for small and medium-sized businesses, with online sales continuing to outperform Amazon's retail business. I think this just further highlights this idea that e-commerce sales and the flexibility that e-commerce provides to the end user is only going to continue to become more streamlined and savvier and more flexible for the consumer, which is the most important thing. D2C brands that outpaced the competition this year, again, had their inventory for Prime Day properly forecasted and in hand months before the event alone. I think this is super important. And this is, again, why one of the main reasons we exist as a funding company is for an Amazon seller, running out of stock is could be an absolute killer of a business. So, being able to properly forecast the amount of product and have the capital on hand to purchase the inventory in bulk is something that, again, as we're gearing up for Q4, we have sellers right now, all they're focused on is purchasing product for Black Friday. So definitely something to keep in mind. A couple of stats on the funding end and what we've seen. So over Prime Week, we deployed over $100 million worth of funding to e-commerce businesses in our portfolio. And again, to over 2,000 sellers. Did a little bit of deep dive, and for everybody out there, the primary use cases on Prime Day and Prime Week, up 80 or 70% or 70 to 80%, was for advertising and marketing campaigns. And I know Priyanka is going to tap into this a little bit more, but in order to stay competitive and ensure your listing is appearing on one of the first pages, you need to continue driving money into advertisements. It's a great way to, if you're a newer brand, drive brand awareness. And again, that's definitely something that I think is crucial, especially in this, economic time, is, making sure you're conscious of your brand and driving brand loyalty. And then 20 to 30% of our capital was used actually for restocking inventory for Q4. I actually saw about 7 deals on July 14th, where they, mentioned to our BDRs that they were interested in accessing their daily sales so they can begin placing orders for the upcoming Black Friday push. So, as we kind of touched on, there are headwinds that sellers are facing right now, and we'll continue to see in Q4. Inflation, as we know, sellers are going to and are already experiencing a shift in the way the consumer is thinking with the rise in prices caused by inflation and the shift in sentiment from luxury goods, which again have been really had record traffic during COVID, to more discretionary spending. It's focusing on items that are needed for a family, for a household, and to perform day-to-day activities. So I think we're going to see a lot of sellers double down on those SKUs, in the household space, in the automotive parts space, and then also, again, I think the consumer electronics space is going to continue to grow. And as I mentioned, we're still facing global supply chain issues, right? So, one interesting fact, and this chart here is super, super insightful. As you're going to see in 2021, at the height of the global supply chain issues, that went on, roughly 12 months ago, we were seeing, average delay times right around 8 days for goods to arrive to a seller after typically, the standard pre-supply chain issues was 1 to 2 days. And what's really interesting right now is just, again, we've definitely seen some of the issues that were contributing to these problems before be resolved. Labor issues in countries like China at ports have definitely picked up. And what I mean by that is, staff is coming back to work, which is exciting to see. But with that being said, the port of Hong Kong and Shenzhen closing in March and being closed for over a month and a half definitely contributed to these reliability issues that you're seeing in delivery goods drop, which is, again, super important to note. But as I mentioned, our sellers have gotten very creative around getting around these supply chain issues to grow their business beyond. So any questions there before I continue? Okay, moving on to the next
Jack,
slide.
we'll be taking the questions towards the end. So I believe that the sellers will be putting them up later on.
Perfect. So continuing on, how sellers can overcome these supply chain issues and inflation. So starting with inflation, there are a couple of things. As we all know, companies, products, brands are having to adjust their prices to, again, make sure their margins are sustainable for their business and are also in line with the competition. With that being said, though, one of the things that I think and we believe is important, if possible, is this willingness to accept a lower margin to retain loyal customers and your following. Although you might be taking a slight reduction in profit, you're still able to retain your customers, keep them loyal. Again, this drives into brand awareness, which I talked about, and ultimately not lose out to a lower quality seller that might be offering the goods at an even lower price. So it's important to, again, just keep your customer at the forefront of your customer and business at the forefront when you're making these decisions, but a willingness to come in a little bit lower might make all the difference in, one, retaining loyal customers, and also through word of mouth, bringing more customers to you. With that said, and I know, the SellerApp team made this introduction, but with all this ideas about, what's the, you might be asking, okay, how can I lower my price, to a point where I am, the most competitive in the market, but also this is a sustainable margin for the overall growth of my business during these times. And it's very important to have the right repricing partner in place. I always recommend Dylan Carter and his team at Aura to, again, use their AI-driven repricing analytics tools to constantly enable a seller to have their SKUs priced at a point that keeps their profit margin in mind, while also allowing you to continue focusing on your business and allowing Aura to set the pricing standard and automatically price your top performing SKUs for you in real time. The second thing, as I mentioned, is focus on doubling down on the essential products that you're selling, and or if you're not selling these types of products, adding these products to your portfolio. So these are household goods, food items. CPG brands have been at an all-time high. They had a very successful Prime Day, automotive parts. And the third thing, again, is being very hyper-focused on brand awareness. One of the interesting things that I've seen is in regards to average cost of sale, is, again, these very successful brands, continuing to offer steep discounts in bulk for the consumer, and giving up maybe some of that margin to, again, continue driving this customer loyalty. But for sellers that are newer, although it might, again, cost a prettier penny, it's super important to continue advertising on Amazon through sponsored ads and away from Amazon to drive that brand awareness if you're a newer company. So that's my overall take on how to overcome inflation. It's willingness to, come in at a lower price. Again, having the right repricing partner in place to automate this, as well as doubling down on essential products. Now,
Completely agree on there about the fact that repricing is important. And as Jack mentioned rightly, Dylan Carter is your go-to man for this. If you're watching, Dylan, here's a shout out for you from both Payability as well as SellerApp. Really love the work that you're doing. And brand awareness, as Jack again mentioned, something really important. Just wanted to jump in and talk about that. Going back to the green room, please continue, Jack.
Yeah, so again, what I was mentioning with brand awareness is it's super important, whether you're a big brand or small brand, to continue maintaining, or even in some cases, regardless of the times at hand and being conservative with budgets, it's super important to continue taking risks with driving new consumers through advertisements, whether it's on Amazon or away from Amazon. But continuing forward, again, I know it's been a big elephant in the room for a while. People are probably like, Jack, do not keep talking about supply chain issues. But the reality of it is they're still there. As we saw on that chart, average delays of consumers receiving product are still around 6 days, 6 to 7 days. And it's very important for sellers to continue getting creative and finding strategies to improve their lead time. And what I mean by that is lower that lead time. So a couple of strategies, and this is something, again, that some of our largest brands have done. It's important to maybe consider finding a local supplier or manufacturer. We have dozens of US-based sellers that have been benefited from finding somebody closer to home, whether it's in the US or Mexico, to produce that product. instead of, again, dealing with potential delays in sea shipping costs from China. And the second bullet point is ensuring that you're forecasting inventory well ahead of time and increasing lead times by at least 60 days. As I mentioned, we have sellers, and as we're talking about a shift to Q4, we have sellers that are coming to us right now saying, hey, we need funding for our next inventory purchase, and that purchase is for Q4. Nobody's coming to us for Q3 inventory purchases, because if they are, those folks might be at risk of running out of stock. And if that's the case, we would be happy to introduce some of those folks to suppliers or 3PLs to help reduce those lead times so they don't run out of stock in the near term. Moving forward, and this is just, again, my closing statement. As we go to unlock max, towards Q4, want to make sure you guys are equipped with the tools and suggestions to succeed. As Priyanka and Sagarika know, Payability is a leading working capital tool in a couple of ways, both with our Access Accelerated Sale product, which takes your daily earnings that are otherwise being held up by Amazon for 2 weeks and putting those in your pocket every single day so you can continue deploying across advertising and inventory, and our advanced strategy, lump sum of working capital based off a future sale for large inventory purchase. It's important to always consider your capital options out there, as being in the flow of funds and having the capital on hand to pay suppliers at discounts is super important. Obviously, we know the competitive advantage with investing in advertising and marketing. It's a necessity for a growing e-commerce business. But I know I mentioned 5 tips. You're probably seeing and being like, Jack, what's going on here? There's 6. Had to obviously throw in a shout out to the team at SellerApp, but let me quickly run through these. Number 1, it's very important, as I mentioned in prior slides, to properly have a inventory management tool in place. Something like a SoStock. Chelsea Cohen and her team there, again, are the leaders in forecasting for future inventory purchases for inventory sellers. Long past are the days where sellers are needing to take up significant time to operate their business at other points to input, sales data and past sales data into spreadsheets. So I highly recommend looking into SoStock to streamline this process and also ensure that you are staying up to date and on time with your inventory purchases. The number 2 point ties in with that, and I think I mentioned it, is to make sure you're partnering up with this management tool to, again, be able to properly leverage and tap into these data points to forecast demand. The third point, again, is cutting down shipping lead times. As we know, supply chain issues are still there. It's important to consider partnering with a 3PL, somebody like ShipBob, maybe Deliver, to cut down on freight times between overseas ports, so you're not running behind on inventory delivery. The fourth, and I think this is a super important point, is it's crucial to stay in constant communication with your suppliers. Your suppliers are your best friends. They're the ones that are manufacturing your product. We've had several suppliers that have, incentivized their suppliers, and it could be as simple as, sending the supplier maybe credit for food apps so they can pay their team. And again, just maybe little subtle add-ons like that could really go a long way. The fifth thing, again, people always say, when we contact them for funding, Jack, I'm flush with cash. I still have people telling me about SBA loans out there. the reality of it is that there's always an opportunity to leverage non-dilutive funding to go, instead of going out of your own pocket or maybe working with a bank that doesn't know e-commerce businesses as well, and the supply chain timelines, how to fund marketing and advertising on Amazon. There's several e-commerce funding solutions out there that don't take away from your wallet, that you can use to, again, grow your business, and Payability is one of those. So happy to discuss how we can be a resource to your sellers. And then the sixth, and this is the most important, is, I've mentioned a lot of things, work with this tool, work with Payability. The reality of it is SellerApp, whether it's advertising automation, which I mentioned is super important and necessary to stay competitive, product discovery. I know I mentioned, a way to get around some of these issues going on in the market, and transitioning to maybe more essential items might be an overbearing task. But the reality of it is, with people like SellerApp, who specialize in helping sellers discover new products, they make it super easy for Amazon businesses globally to grow. And I, for those listening, I couldn't endorse them more. And Priyanka, I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you so much, Jack, for such a great presentation, and for the shout out to SellerApp, as well as to Chelsea. If you guys want to learn more about inventory, we did a recent Seller Speak session with her where she discusses all about inventory-based marketing. And as far as funding is concerned, I'm sure that Payability is going to be your go-to solution after such a spectacular presentation about it. So, Jack, there is a question for you in regards to how long does it take for Payability to approve a particular fund. Could you share some light on that, please?
Yeah, Gara, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. It takes, so if you were to complete an application with us right now, we could have you approved for either our daily payout solution, where we're unlocking your sales, which might be held in reserve from Amazon or Walmart for 2 weeks, or our advanced solution, which is the lump sum of capital, by 1 p.m. this afternoon Eastern time. So, again, we've got a special offer for SellerApp customers and prospective customers of $500 off funding with us. I'm happy to provide a link in this chat, but we can have it turned around to you by the end of today, and actually within 3 hours.
That is impressive timing, Jack. I hope Kara Crafts got their answer. We have one of our old seasoned person here to say hi. Hi, Ria. How have you been? Thank you for complimenting on the session. Priyanka, what are your thoughts? Do you have anything to say to Ria?
Hi, Ria. It's great to see you watching our session still. So it's amazing.
Awesome. So, Jack, I'm going to put you in the green room, and now we will be taking a deep dive into what can be done for everything in terms of retargeting post Prime Day. See you in a bit, Jack.
See you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
So, Priyanka, now here we are to discuss all about advertising. We know that increasing your visibility on Amazon with a killer 9.6 community as a seller is very important. So I will leave you to it so you can get started and discuss all that our sellers need to know about retargeting post Prime Day and keeping up the momentum for Q4.
Absolutely. I'm going to share my presentation.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can see, right?
Yes.
All right. All right. So obviously the topic today is retargeting, and Prime Day 2022 is over. A few sigh of relief. I know a lot of the sellers out there prepare for this big day. Then after this is over, they're all prepping for Q4. So hope you guys all had a great event, and especially knowing that Prime Day has been the biggest year so far in the history of all Prime Days. I'm sure, especially in the top performing categories, if you were one of those selling in those categories, it would have been a great bonanza for you guys. So good luck on that, and congratulations to all those who have really made millions and millions of dollars. This year's Prime Day was the biggest, and now that's over, now it's time to think through how you guys are going to spearhead in the Q4 in the next quarter, and how you want to leverage your Prime Day traffic and retain those customers that you've earned so far for Q4. And that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about. So quickly, a quick intro about myself. I'm Priyanka Bora. I'm marketing here at SellerApp. Prior to this, I was working in varied financial roles in cross-functional diverse teams across geographies, Singapore, Dubai, and the US. For the last over a year, actually, I've been with SellerApp. And prior to that, I was heading a company called Opal Advertising and Marketing as the CEO from traditional marketing, moving into the digital marketing side. So that's where I got the opportunity to work with SellerApp, and here I am. So I'm going to keep this short and then moving on. Just a quick recap. I know Jack has already covered some of those stats and, stole some of the limelight there, but I'm just going to reiterate that a little bit, and then we'll just take a quick dive into the recap and then get into the presentation real quick. So again, I think Prime members purchased more than 300 million items. That was also mentioned on Jack's presentation worldwide, but we also saved about $1.7 billion more than any other Prime Day event. So customers spent over $3 billion on more than 100 million small businesses. Prime members worldwide purchase more than 100,000 items per minute. Sorry, I forgot to change the slide. Yep, that's pretty much it. And also, I think the stats here are outstanding. They're pretty unbelievable how this year's Prime Day has performed, and I can't wait to see how next year is going to be even better or bigger than this. But this has definitely surpassed all of those Prime Day events so far. So moving on the top categories that were doing really well on Prime Day, and just a little quick recap here I'll give as well. So electronic sales on Amazon still rule the roost, and this is one category that I've seen, whether it's been a Cyber Monday or a Thanksgiving or a Christmas or of course Prime Day. This category has always been the top performing categories. It is the most sold out category during 2022, with people looking at not just brands but also Amazon devices to buy. It's been a popular category for Q4 as well for many years at a stretch. So again, it's constantly very popular, and it has been a proven consistency of being the top ranking ones over the years. Another category that I would talk about will also be home and kitchen. It still remains a category that's very much sought after, according to Amazon. And I know I don't have it on the slide here, but another one that I do want to talk about is home improvement and the homebody economy, especially how it has thrived in the pandemic days, because we've had 2 years of lockdown, and also continuing in 2022. Some of the customers have returned back to their normal lives or the pre-COVID times and all of that, but 60% of that consumers still plan to spend more time at home in 2022, and hence this becomes one of those popular categories to look out for, even for the next few sales that are coming in for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, and so on. I think these would be definitely the top performing ones as well. Now, the actual crux of the presentation starts here, where we're talking about why do you want to target or retarget your customers post Prime Day. Now, retargeting has always been a very effective method of getting customers back to your site, to your storefront, to, of course, lead to more sales and conversions eventually. So that is a pretty good marketing technique used by retailers to advertise their products to customers who have really visited their website or browsed or even viewed their storefront, so to speak. So if it also helps increase your sales by giving customers a second shot at purchasing a product or service, and it's really worth testing if you're having a tough time really driving those conversions to your page. Okay, and what would be some of those strategies for retargeting? So I have about 6 strategies that I'm going to be talking about, and in the essence of time, I'm going to run through them real quickly, which covers pretty much the spectrum of all that you need to know to retarget your customers for Q4. They will cover pretty much post Prime Day, which are also called as lead out strategies, which are post the 14-day period after Prime Day occurs. So the 14 days after Prime Day are called lead out days, where sellers see a lot of conversions, and this is actually the time to optimize your listings to get really good sales volume in these 2 weeks. So let's get started, guys. All right. find and target keywords that work. Now, the first strategy that you want to focus on is, of course, keyword retargeting. Now, you want to identify all of those keywords that really worked well and those converted for you, leverage those to your advantage going forward. You need to understand what keywords did not work and you want to kind of eliminate them and mark them as negative so that you also save on cost, on your advertising cost of spend, and reduce your irrelevancy, which is also a form of the advertising perspective. Once you have the right keywords in place, you want to optimize on those listings for your top selling or the top performing keywords, ASINs, and also bid higher on those proven keywords to maximize conversions, again, from an advertising perspective here. So, two tips that you can pretty much use after Prime Day retargeting would be manual product attribute targeting for your ASINs, brand, and category keywords. And also you want to also implement automatic targeting for your close and lose match keywords, so to speak. Again, there are a couple of factors that you want to consider while searching for those keywords, which I'm going to talk about this. They need to be a long tail keyword, having a good search volume, which is, of course, the number of times a keyword is searched in a month. The keywords typically, I'm sorry, keywords that are typically more than one word in length. You want to use them in your product descriptions. The impression rate that you get for that particular keyword, which is the average number of times your product ad was shown to a potential customer. Relevancy, how trending it is, the sudden shift in the consumer search behavior. And one thing that I do want to focus on is buyer intent keyword. And buyer intent keywords are those search queries that really show that someone is actively looking for a purchase and actually looking to make a purchase. So once you identify those buyer intent keywords, you know that these are your ideal customers are really using. You can target those keywords with relevant content or paid ads. So as an example, I would say, someone who's really in the research phase of their customer journey, looking for information about a problem they have or a product. So let's say if someone who's a boyfriend is probably typing, okay, a gift for a girlfriend or a Valentine gift, he's there on the page to really buy a particular product, and hence he's researching for it. So you will be able to identify what's a buyer intent keyword, and you want to double down on those. Moving on. All right, optimizing your listing. Now, this is, the second strategy that I want to talk about is, of course, keeping in mind that an optimized listing for your product to show up on those top Amazon search pages, it gives you that makes your product more desirable, more discoverable, and shows up on those first page of the Amazon. You can use the data about the right keywords that you need to use for retargeting and add them to your existing listing just to get better results. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm a little under the weather. Okay, so there are a couple of the stages of optimizing a listing. It starts with, the product title. It goes on to bullet point descriptions, and of course, using good, appealing product images and videos. So that's what I'm going to bring about one by one. Your product title is perhaps the most important factor that really helps you get that attention. And as I said, makes your product more desirable, more discoverable. It helps you get your listings organic ranking and visibility. Also creates that sort of a brand awareness, if you may. Therefore, it's really important to have a defined product title properly. And now, a couple of things that you want to keep in mind on how a product title should be is you want to include a brand name in that. You want to have, like, if it has variations or colors, then you want to include that particular flavor, color, variant, if you may, the size, the quantity, having the right keywords, of course. You can also, that brand keyword can be your main keyword in that sense. And the third is where you want to really have personalized keywords, which can be, again, size, color, quantity, seasonal, whether it is for a particular holiday related keyword, and so on and so forth. And I think, bullet points, another thing is something that you want to make sure that product is as vividly described. You talk about it, mention every detail about your product. There are very important areas where you want to concentrate your keyword research on, really aids in ranking better. So in the case of your product tag, you need to define with bullet points, just so that the description is included with the right keywords, and they're the first descriptive elements of your product. So you don't want to limit them in characters. You can only add up to 5 lines of bullet points. You want to make sure that you add all the relevant details and description that you have, which is as close as it gets about your product, which includes, I think, the product features, the USP that you want to, talk about, use cases, again, the occasional or seasonal information that you want to bring out, customer support, so on and so forth. Now, I think in those fourth and fifth bullet points is what you want to talk about, whether it's like having a birthday celebration or birthday gift, or it could be very a customer care, very customer centric keyword that you want to use in those bullet points. Description, as it's very self-explanatory, you want to be as vividly describing your product because you want to attract customers to your page. And again, it's limited to 2,000 characters. You can write a lot more compared to a bullet point. So the thing that you want to really mention in the product description is, again, product features that you weren't able to cover in a bullet point, why your product is unique, your brand name, your brand aim, your brand story, so on and so forth is what you want to cover in all these bullet points and descriptions. Now, having a right or a good product image and video is extremely important because, again, customers can't touch and feel your product, so it needs to be absolutely close to how your product looks, and it tells about the product as much as possible in form of visual. So you need to make sure that you have visually appealing images to that. They are the only visual representation of your product. So while you're shopping online, so you want to make sure that you have captured, very good, colorful pictures. Now, there's a whole, guideline on what dimensions it needs to be, and Amazon has a tons of guidelines that you can follow, the best practices that you need to follow for having those right product and images. But just make sure that you use a good quality camera, preferably a DSLR. You want to try and include like an image or an infographic that shows the benefits and the USP of your product. You can also include a secondary image that really compares your product with competitors to really highlight, your product's advantages and so on. Okay. All right, product marketing. Again, one of the strategies where you want to, how you can product or how can you can market your product. You want to use Amazon PPC to advertise your product. Again, you want to make sure you make all that noise and jazz about, create that buzz on social media and get the word out about your products in that sense. Now, using Amazon PPC will ensure that your campaigns really have a sufficient budget to keep running and engaging customers throughout your Prime Day. So if you've advertised during Prime Day, or before, review your results and really see if there are learnings to apply this year. For example, if you ran out of budget on Prime Day last year, then you want to prevent that from happening this year by setting maybe a higher budget for the very same product. And you can also estimate the budget to set aside by multiplying the previous year's cost per click to conversion ratio, and really how many clicks you got, as just to get an estimate of the goal that you want to set for this year, and of course next year based on the metrics of this year. So you want to market your product on social media. Now, customers browsing on Amazon during Prime Day might not have like a specific brand or product in mind. Sometimes they're just probably doing some sort of window shopping, so to speak. In fact, they maybe there just to kind of discover new brands. So finding effective ways to build your brand's presence is really the key here. And you want to be connecting with Prime Day shoppers, driving those purchases and turning those connections into long-lasting customer relationships. Now, again, choosing to advertising on social media platforms can get you great visibility, great results, of course, lead to more sales and conversions, but it is a great opportunity to create sales brand awareness. As I said, if it's a new brand, then creating that brand awareness, possibility to connect with with the consumers, the ability to reach a vast audience, which is millions of new other customers, which are not, outside of your loyal customer base, better chance to engage and build a seller community around your product. And of course, more social networking and teaching about your products will give you the ability to increase, customer satisfaction, and of course, expand internationally and globally if that is something that you're wanting to do. And these are the ways that they will help you. Again, driving, leveraging social media marketing. I think I cannot harp on this enough, or I can't talk about this enough. Driving traffic to your Amazon product page through, there are various ways that you can do that. Amazon itself comes up with various ways that you can leverage these techniques, and Amazon influencer program being one of them, where it's an extension of the Amazon Associates affiliate program that really brings product related content from influencers into the Amazon to help customers reach and discover products that they might be interested in. Again, the main advantage of this program is that you may not have to have contact with your influencer that, to get them to list your products. But if you really created those high quality product that people love, it's possible that influencers, without even asking for money, might even talk about it themselves, and will include your product in their storefronts without even requesting for it. Amazon Attribution, again, I think it's a great tool that Amazon has come up with, where for all those advertisers who are using non-Amazon channels for their marketing activities, it helps you to understand those strategies that are leading to shopping activity and sales. So it's typically your brand, excuse me, analytics, so to speak, where it gives you information about detailed page views, add to cart, sales metrics, optimizing your non-Amazon channels for Prime Day, and so on. So all of these metrics really help you to drive sales to your product page. And also through these channels, you can understand what's working, what's not working for you. You want to eliminate those which is not working and double down on those which are really working in your favor, and which platforms also that you're advertising your product is done better for you. So again, there are tons of ways you can do creative messages, non-Amazon audiences, which really get insight into the audiences that are engaging with your product outside of Amazon and really expressing the interest, and you can kind of cater to that as your target audience. So some of these ways are great tools to really, take that data from there and, have actionable insights and make informed decisions based on of that. I know I'm rushing off, but okay. Another strategy is bundling your products for added value. Now, I think it's a great thing. If you have certain items that may seem that they're glued to the shelves on Amazon or your inventory, and really building them with complementary goods would be a great, way to kind of have them sold as well. So when you have excess inventory remaining after Prime Day is over, smart way to get to complement them with like-minded products, like as an example that I've given on this PPT here is the rack magnet wristband bundle with like a hammer multi-tool, and now they work hand in hand. So I think as long as they're Amazon regulation complaints, that you can use this technique to really grow rapidly and really quickly. The best way to advertise them is to bundle them up with complementary products. Again, targeting your audience using Amazon PPC advertising, it has multiple advantages. It drives more sales, gives you more product visibility, creates your brand awareness, and of course, maintains your top ranks on those Amazon pages. Now, I will take a deep dive into each of these strategies that I really want to talk about that will help you retargeting your audience post Prime Day. And the first one that I would talk about is target your top selling products product um, through manual product targeting ads. Excuse me. Now, you want to advertise your best selling product to audiences who have recently, whoever has visited your page during Prime Day. Sellers would kind of market all of these products over a period of like previous 30-day period to audiences that have viewed products similar to theirs or chosen a highly specific category. Another way to market your product is to use this brand for retargeting. So make use of your top selling products and to run ads for the products that you want to be sold. Another, if a seller is browsing to your storefront, they're highly likely looking at other products similar to the one that you also have. So this is your chance to really, make your product visible and place your products that are not doing so well and have them get it noticed. Another thing that you can also use as a strategy is something called brand looping. So it is within you, you're advertising your product which are not doing so well, but you want them to be sold. You're advertising those products within your own brand page, and so people visiting your top selling product will also see the other products that are not doing so well and probably could lead to some sales there. Target your complementary and substitute products using automatic targeting. I think I covered this when I talked about complementary products. But again, your best selling ASIN is a great way to bring customers to your listing and ensure that competitors don't steal that spot. And with a bit more research, you can really run automatic targeting campaigns for your complementary products as well as your substitute products. Target broad and phrase match keywords using automatic targeting. I think you can really widen the retargeting network by even further running automatic targeting ads and campaigns for all those broad and phrase matches keywords that are really relevant to your product that have been that you've been continuing to target for your PPC campaigns. Your top competing products for better visibility and sales. Now, you also, when you're actually finding the right keywords that work for you, also want to look at keywords that your competition is using or that has been used by your competitors. Always add the exact keywords to your, list. Always cash in on some of those that have worked really well for the competitors. And how do you do that? You want to run ads for these products. For example, if you are a cat litter company and you see another cat litter company doing better than yours, and you want to find the right banner and the right title to get more traction when someone views that product, and you can redirect them to your storefront instead. So those are some of the ways you can do that. Also, remarketing with sponsored display ads. I think you want to take advantage of the data that Amazon also has collected from Prime Day. And as I said, they have their own statistics and analytics that that's readily available for you. So you want to use some of those features from sponsored display ads. They also allow sellers to retarget potential buyers both on and off Amazon. So I think that's a great technique to use, and it includes audiences, it includes views, remarketing, and Amazon audiences. With these features, you can really retarget and re-engage with the shoppers who've probably again viewed or shown interest in the product or your similar product to yours in that category in the last 30 days. And when you are also retargeting these audiences with sponsored display ads, your bids are per click both on and off Amazon, excuse me. So you can create like customized ads around it by adding their logo, by crafting unique headlines for specific type of audiences. Now, so again, also depending on the time, the amount that you want to bid, Amazon will either spend more or less depending on how likely they consider that a shopper viewing that ad will make a purchase. So Amazon will never go over the daily budget that you set for yourself, assigned to the campaign when you created it. So you don't have to worry about building having a whole advertising budget, so to speak. New to brand metrics. I think this is a very new key figure which helps you measure which of the sales generated through the campaigns can be attributed to new or existing customers. So you will be able to see through this, which new customers made purchases from you during the Prime Day sales, and you can run ads that are tailored for such consumers to see. So if they bought only due to a sale or a lightning deal that you might have offered or a discount, or if they're likely to become regular customers, you can kind of figure that metrics out through this. So if you run display ads on and off Amazon, you can see the lead out period to really re-engage your brand's existing audience, to drive loyalty and in-market audiences who may have purchased your products. Now, also what you can also leverage is the Amazon DSP and remarketing audiences, as I talked about earlier, to optimize on the new to brand metrics, sales, and detail pages view rates. So they'll especially be impactful when you're analyzing Prime Day data to really, see who drove the highest percentage of new customers. Last but not the least, I think is manage your product reviews. And again, I can harp upon this. We've talked about this earlier. Get more reviews right after Prime Day to keep the momentum until the fourth quarter. It has always been a good practice to get more reviews for the products. Everyone is looking at ratings and reviews before even making a purchase if it's an absolutely new thing or a new category that you're looking to purchase from. You also want to address the negative reviews. One thing that you don't want carrying forward or coming into Q4 and the year out is to lose sale based on a negative product reviews. And I've personally seen when you have been able to address a negative review, there have been times when you've been able to convert a negative customer and address them, uh, redirected them, and they have converted into a positive review. So it's just a part of doing, it's part and parcel of doing the business on Amazon. So some customers are going to be unhappy, some of them are of course going to be happy, and they will leave something behind. But if you rectify them and address them, then that can be converted into a sale and a potential positive customer thereon. Editorial recommendations and pricing. So editorial recommendations really help you rank higher on Amazon search pages by the Amazon affiliates who are part of the Amazon on-site program. Now, again, this program is an extension of the Amazon Associate Affiliate Program that brings product related content from third parties onto Amazon to help customers research and discover products that might be interested in. So, it's just creating like that authenticity or more reliability of your product. Product recommendations from these affiliates who've been invited, um, you know, receive commission for purchases through these recommendations, and by being repeatedly on those SERP pages, brands being featured in editorial recommendations has seen to increase their relevance for keywords and editorial presence, improve PPC efficiency, and also improved organic conversions. And if pricing is the strategy that you've implemented for Prime Day and which has gotten you like high sales, volume, keep the same pricing going forward for higher profits. So what that typically means is that you may have increased your product pricing during Prime Day because CPC rates go high. But what typically happens after Prime Day is that CPC rates typically go down. So you want to continue that sales momentum by still pricing them at the same price. Well, you're spending less on the CPC, but your product is, of course, getting more revenue because you've maintained that pricing standpoint. So you want to contribute to advertising lower CPC rates, but also higher prices in order to continuously get that visibility and product and sales. And with that, I would, hereby end my presentation. Justin, last but not the least, I do want to emphasize that SellerApp also has a freemium feature that where you get to access all the primary features for free. So whether it's keyword research, product intelligence, advertising automation, inclusive of custom rules and day parting, all of them for free, no credit card connect, no strings attached, and that is all available to you. So all you guys watching out there would highly encourage come to a platform, experiment for yourself, learn for yourself, and of course, for any questions you want to pick my brain, you can write to me directly at priyanka.bora@sellerapp.com or support@sellerapp.com. And you can also sign up with us and avail our free expert audit of our account or schedule a demo as well. So these are some of the things that you can do. And yes, over to you. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Priyanka, that was a spectacular presentation with some great insights and strategies which are not so heard of. So I'm pretty sure whichever seller is going to leverage these, they are going to get some great results. As far as questions are concerned, we have quite an enthusiastic audience today. Ken wants to know if, when it comes to new to brand metrics, do they have to pay any extra amount to get access to this data?
Nope, it's absolutely free. So another feather to the cap there is that there's no charge for it. So get hold of that and then absolutely implement and use that data.
And Kasim, I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting for so long and being patient throughout our session. I know that you got a lot of new learnings. So Kasim had two questions for you, Priyanka. The first one is that what strategy do you suggest for a newly launched product with high competition?
So I think I've covered all of those in my presentation, but again, to reiterate on that, again, focus on getting good reviews, good ratings, make use of promotions, discounts, promote intensively. So again, make that noise, create that buzz about your product on channels outside of Amazon as well, of course, on and off. And then, of course, the most important one, take advantage of Amazon PPC. You cannot, I cannot dwell and hop on this more than I already have, that you cannot go wrong with Amazon PPC, and you absolutely need to implement that for getting the
Awesome.
business.
And the second question that Kasim wants to know about is how do you hunt for your products when you're starting off on private label?
SellerApp's product research feature and product intelligence feature, I think they would give you with the right metrics. You can understand if you're someone who's really looking to even understand which product to start selling on Amazon, then of course there are certain metrics and some certain data points that you really need to look into, like probably getting to something which has high demand but low competition, and all of those metrics you will be able to find with us on our tool. So like I said, it's a free tool. Please feel free to embark on it.
Awesome. Well, that's it in terms of questions. I'm going to bring Jack onto the screen. And I would like to thank both of you for such a wonderful session. Jack, the insights covering A to Z about Amazon inventory, product research, inflation, funding, everything and anything, and Priyanka for such a nice deep dive into Amazon advertising. This was an amazing session for me too because I was definitely taking notes for myself. What are some last minute or last words that you would like to share with our audience about today? Jack, how about you go first?
Yeah. Again, Priyanka, you always, find a way to outdo me in regards to knowledge. That's for sure. And I love hearing all of the insights that you have. I think one of the things that's super important is that concept of, just optimizing your product listings. The presentation is everything. And it can all come down to, how you were even photographing some of your items. Sagrika, I know you're off to continue your studies in a couple of weeks. So, I wish you the best of luck. I hope, you again are enjoy your time over in Ireland, and it's been a pleasure working with you. And everybody that listened, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly, and we'll be following up with information on that.
Thank you so much, Jack. It's been an equal amount of pleasure working with you as well. Since you mentioned that people can reach out to you directly, what would be a good email or contact number for them to reach out to you at?
Yeah, so the best way to get a hold of me is to email me directly at jackhh@payability.com. You can also shoot me a text at 203-810-8991.
For all our audience out there, here's Jack's email. And Priyanka, would you like to share some light about how can people reach out to SellerApp?
Yep, it's support@sellerapp.com. And you can also write to me if you want, like I said, you want to pick my brains and certain queries that you have with regards to advertising. You can write to this or priyanka.bora@sellerapp.com. And I'll be very, very happy to answer all of your questions. And for all those sellers out there, don't be shy, run your PPC campaigns, show the brand, have that visibility, and happy selling as always.
Awesome. The best part about today's session was definitely the fact we know where to get the funds from and we know how to leverage them to make the most of your Amazon
And
journey.
that is such an
So,
important thing I want to add because whether you are someone who is in the launch phase or the growth phase or a mature phase of your business, funds are something that you constantly be needing. Even for running your PPC campaigns, you obviously need money. You need to have a budget. So if you're already short on that, then we have the right person here for you guys. And then Jack and Payability and his team are great. They release funds, as he mentioned, as early as like 4 hours, right? So, I mean, what are you guys
Yes.
waiting for?
Yeah, same day funding. Again,
Absolutely.
happy to share an application as well with the $500 sign-on bonus. I think just to echo Priyanka's point, though, is it's not a one-size-fits-all for everybody. There are a lot of other great funding providers in the space. I know AccrueMe, Don Henning, and his team are fantastic. And again, with us, the least we can do is credit check free, underwrite a deal same day, and see what we can do. And if it makes sense for your business, we would love to support your journey.
that is great. That is great. So, for all the sellers out here, you know where to get your funds from, you know how to run your PPC campaigns. Anything else you need, reach out to Jack or to Priyanka. Both of them have a pretty good partner network to connect you to the right person. And
Absolutely.
with that, I would like to conclude today's session. I have one more announcement to make for all our sellers. Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Priyanka, for being here. I will be putting both of you in the green room. And yes, thank you so much. Have a nice rest of your week. We're halfway through, halfway more to go.
Yes.
Perfect. Enjoy
Thank
the
you,
rest of your
Sagrika.
day, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thanks,
See you,
Jack.
Thank you so
see
much.
you, Priyanka. See you, Sagrika. Bye.
Bye-bye. So to all the sellers watching our episodes out there, if you want any more advice, any more help, you can always reach out to us at support@sellerapp.com. And if you want to learn more about what's happening with Amazon, tune in to our sessions at 9 a.m. EST on every Monday. And to learn more about SellerApp and its product offerings, always tune in to our sessions on Thursdays at 9 a.m. EST. If you want to get in touch with Jack, you can always reach out at jackhh@payability.com. And for SellerApp, You have our PPC specialist, Priyanka Bora, our director of marketing, who you can reach out to at priyanka.bora@sellerapp.com. And that is it for me from today. I hope you got some great insights about what you need to do for your Q4 to be the best one ever. So happy selling, and until I see you next time, I hope your Q4 preparations go very well. Bye. Cheers.